Hi guys, welcome to Challenge the Road. I wanted to do this video about speeding tickets, fines, interesting development about these bandings, which I didn't know about. I want to show you that 21 in a 20 is a 3-point fine. It's an RAC article, so I'm gonna have to go with their judgment, but we're just going to talk about a few bits that I found out. So in 2024, 9.61 million penalty points given. Over 3.3 million notices of intended prosecution issued for speed camera offences. So a huge amount, and we know more and more people are getting caught on the cameras. I'm not saying that's good or bad. Obviously, we are going over the limit sometimes, but I'm of the opinion that 21 in a 20, especially when we've had to adapt and change. A lot of these were 30 mile an hour. Now we're pulling that back, 33% less in speed, and it's just getting used to that because it feels so slow, doesn't it? Let's just go on to the next bit. So the next bit was, I thought I'd just look up in Kent how the speeding fines are there. So in Kent in 2025, the most people were handed £100 fine and 3 points, but the fines are going to change too. We're going to go into that on the article about it's going to be your weekly salary, a percentage of that in the fine. I didn't know too much about this, and I'm just going to read the article so you know what's going on. So how do speeding fines work in the UK? Exceeding the UK speed limit is considered breaking the law and could put the safety of yourself and other motorists at risk. That is why the UK has speed limit restrictions, which are enforced directly by the police or indirectly via speed cameras. And the other thing about the cameras coming in is obviously there's a lot of these new AI cameras. We spoke a bit about that on previous videos where they put an AI camera in and so many people were getting tickets, they had to just stop using it after 2 weeks. And a lot of that's because I feel sometimes these speed limits are changing from 30s to 20s and it's just getting used to that adjustment. You imagine you're used to doing 30. Also, not all cars, especially older cars, they don't have the new tech where it's binging at you every time you go over 20 or whatever. So you're used to running in maybe different gears or a speed you're used to, and that feels like 30 mile an hour. Now you've got to feel like it's 20. So this is the band. This is where it gets interesting. So type of speed offences in the UK. There's a banding system, Band A, Band B and Band C, which I'll put on the screen so you've got an idea of how it's working. But also if you do get a fine, it'll give you an idea of what's going to happen, whether it's 3 points, 6 points, a ban. You can get a good idea how much the fine could be. So Band A, if you've been caught by a speed camera or stopped at the roadside by police after driving slightly over the limit, you will receive a warning or a fixed penalty notice with a £100 fine and 3 points on your licence. In some cases, a speed awareness course is offered as an alternative to penalty points and a fine. And as you know, I've done 2 speed awareness courses myself to try and keep my points down, because I got done at 33 in a 30 and 34 in a 30. I was up in Yorkshire shooting the Evo magazine shoot, and yeah, it was dark. I don't know the roads. It's 5 o'clock, and yeah, it was outside a police station, which was good. But sometimes when you're in areas you don't know, it is tricky to stay under that limit. Band B, you have exceeded the speed limit by a significant margin, which you'll see on the video. You may face a minimum fine of 100 and 3 or 6 points on your licence. You may also end up in court if the offence was committed in a built-up area or outside a school. And we know these limits are for schools, and I'm absolutely for that. I think the 20 mile an hour around the schools is fine. I'm just not sure the 20 mile an hour should carry on as far as it is. I did go down to North Wales, which is one of the most hit actually for speeding fines. And when you're coming out, I think some of the roads, it didn't need to be 20. So I think that needs a bit of a reassessment. Band C, this is the most serious speeding offence. you have been caught exceeding the speed limit by a considerable amount and may face a fine of 125 to 175% of your weekly income, along with 6 penalty points or a driving ban. Depending on the severity of the offence, it may also result in a dangerous driving charge that can result in imprisonment. How long does it take for the fine to come through? It looks about 14 days. Can you check if you've been caught speeding? You can't check if you've been caught speeding unless you've been stopped by roadside police. Okay, so you'd have to wait for it to come through. Speeding fines. So how much is a speeding fine? So let's run through it. So band A, 20 mile an hour. Band A, 21 to 30 is considered 3 points. The fine is 25 to 75% of relevant weekly income. So 21, and I have done videos before where people were saying, Richard, it's not 21, it's 10% or whatever, plus a lenient thing. Well, I'm hearing people getting done at 21, so we're going to have to be, really, really careful on that, because you've got zero tolerance, basically. Band B in that level, in a 20, is 31 to 40. Now we're looking at a disqualification of 7 to 28 days or 4 to 6 points, band B. 20 mile an hour band C is 41 and above, disqualification 7 to 56 days or 6 points on your licence. So we have to be really careful in these 20s because obviously we were used to going 30 before. I won't go too much through everything on here because you'll see it on the screen, but basically I didn't really know about this banding system. I always thought it was like 3, 6, 9, but at least if you get a ticket now, you can have a look through the banding and get a rough idea. Now, just how much is a speeding fine for doing 40 in a 30? How serious is it? So let's have a look at this. If you're caught doing 40 mile an hour in a 30 mile an hour zone, 10 mile an hour over the speed limit, you could receive a fine of £288. Or 50% of your weekly wage and 3 points on your licence. If you're caught doing 45 mile an hour in a 30, that's 15 mile an hour over the speed limit, you could receive a fine of £577 or 100% of your weekly wage and 4 to 6 points on your licence. If you're caught doing 51 in a 30 mile an hour zone, that's 21 mile an hour over the limit, you will receive a fine of £865, 150% of your weekly wage and 6 points on your licence. So that's a huge amount. Am I allowed a 10% leeway of the speed limit? We spoke about this earlier in the video. In the eyes of the law, you are liable for a speeding fine as soon as you exceed the limit. So that's why I said 21 in a 20, you're going to get done. So if you're doing 31 in a 30 limit or 71 on a motorway, you're breaking the law. Now that's where it is. So you've been caught speeding. What happens next? Obviously, you're going to get letters through. It could be disqualified. Fine. How to pay a speeding fine. Disputing a speeding fine. This is quite interesting because I saw a little case and I'll go into that in a second. So speeding fines are in place to protect all road users, and disputing them is a task that shouldn't be undertaken if you think you may have broken the limit. Always obey traffic laws and never exceed the speed limit. So basically you're probably going to lose unless there's acceptable grounds. I don't know what that would be, but I think it would be very hard. But anyway, I was looking at this case. Peers faced Lord's ban for raising speeding fines for police chief. So this is a former House of Lords Speaker, Baroness de Souza, faces an 8-week suspension after complaining to the Metropolitan Police Commissioner about unfair speeding fines. Found the 81-year-old peer broke rules on personal honour by writing to Mark Rowley on Lord's headed notepaper to query multiple breaches of the 20 mile an hour limit, adding up to £400 of fines. Baroness de Souza said she wanted to have an open conversation on London speed limits, but later called the letter to Sir Mark unwise as she regretted sending it. So basically, you can get a lot of fines. So she complained about the offences would result in 12 points on her licence and disqualification, which meant that she'd have to give up attending Parliament in that time. Who can say if my speed speedometer or your radar is entirely accurate in a recording 21 miles an hour instead of 20, she said in her letter, which was sent to the House of Lords. And that is where I think before we used to have a lenience, and the lenience I always thought was like 10%. Obviously that's not there now. So yeah, I think that tolerance we thought we had, and that was because we used to have old-fashioned speedos, but now you're not swimming drunk, but now you've got GPS, you've got all this stuff in the car, so it's telling speed, and it's not just on the, you know, the normal gauge. Baroness de Souza was previously criticised for billing taxpayers thousands of pounds in expenses for chauffeur-driven cars. Well, maybe she should have stuck with that. This includes keeping a chauffeur-driven Mercedes waiting outside the Royal Opera House just a mile from Parliament for 4 hours before returning to Lords at a cost of £230. Obviously, yeah. She also used a Mercedes to get from Westminster to Canterbury for the Archbishop Justin Welby in 2013, costing £627. Anyway, going back to it, I'll put that on there. Have a look. If you get a speeding ticket, be very careful, be aware. There is a new banding system. I'll put the article and a link to it from the RAC. I hope that helps you. Yeah, please comment on the video. Have you been hit by this? I know I'm on 6 points at the moment. I am very, very conscious that, yeah, I need to just make sure that I don't do 21 in a 20. I'm quite fortunate around here. There's not actually that many 20s. It's just a few of them. But yeah, when I go to Wales, I'm just like, to be on my guard all the time. I hope you enjoy these videos. Please like, share, subscribe. Really helps the channel grow. We grew by 500 subscribers in the last week, which is a lot. So yeah, really appreciate your views, and I'll see you again.